Hey, why is someone broke like you here? You are ruining the sushi experience. A familiar voice reached my ears unexpectedly at the sushi restaurant where I had come to appreciate Mew Jr., Ethan's hard work. Looking toward the voice, there was Emily, a high school classmate. I don't know why, but apparently she hates me at some point. I thought I wouldn't see her again after graduating high school, as she went on to a national university and I found a job, but here she was. Why am I here? As you can see, I'm having a meal. I replied honestly, and she snorted, looking me and Ethan up and down. You're really putting on airs. Oh, I'm meeting someone here after this. He's a rising star at a major corporation. What are you doing now? Having settled for a high school diploma. She went on bragging about her boyfriend endlessly. She also seemed to work for a big corporation, quite pleased with herself. I was calming Ethan, who was upset with her attitude, and shortly afterwards a man walked into the shop, and I recognized him. Oh, hey there, what a coincidence. It turned out the boyfriend Emily was waiting for was actually the subordinate I'm quite fond of. Emily stood up with a shocked look on her face. You guys know each other? Yeah, that's my subordinate. Definitely a key earner for us. My name is Ken. Born and raised as an utterly ordinary kid in a family of 4 with my parents and sister, I was the class clown that you'd find in any classroom. Kenzie is the best, isn't he? When you grow up, Kenzie, let's become comedians together. Oh, no way, I'd rather be a handsome actor or something. I always loved seeking out fun and interesting things and getting everyone involved in the good times. I was even the cheerleader at the sports festival and tried my hand at the student council. I hate to toot my own horn, but I was always the popular one in the center of the crowd. My name made it into all the categories and those most likely to lists you'd find in the yearbook. We were just an average family, not particularly wealthy, but the love I got from my parents was almost too much during my teen years. I think I was pretty fortunate compared to some folks who have to deal with really tough family situations. Bro, I can't get past this level. Can you help me out? I got along well with my sister, and we'd often play video games together like this. Oh, by the way, this is from your senior. Seriously, I wish he'd just give these things to you himself. It's such a pain, you know. Maybe it's because we get along so well as siblings, but I even get love letters and little treats from my sister 2 years younger than me, and she'll scold me from time to time, but I guess that's just part of being popular. I think I had a pretty good run during my school days. Speaking of popularity, my childhood friend was quite the charmer. Emily, with a mom who's a doctor and a dad who's a CEO. She's the lady living next door, and we've been together since kindergarten. Since our families live next door to each other, we've been close, even going on vacations together at times. Hey, Kenny, let's go to school together. Yeah, did you get your bangs cut? Looks good on you. I like this style better. Chatting about this and that, we often walked to school together, so people frequently mistook her for my girlfriend. I wasn't exactly upset about it, and it seemed like Emily didn't really mind either, so neither of us confirmed nor denied it. Thanks to that, I didn't have a girlfriend in middle school, but that was fine by me. I had more fun messing around with the guys anyway. Ken's got it made, man. You're dating the cutest girl of your grade and your childhood friend. It's like something out of a comic book. And you're the one making your girlfriend from another school wait. Better head back, buddy. I do want to see my girl, but I'm also here to pick up the girl who's coming to meet you. These were the kind of silly conversations we had while changing after club activities, just part of a fulfilling day. Emily was as beautiful as they say, a real head-turner. She was well-mannered and kind to everyone. And she was quite a hard worker. With her beautiful long hair, slim and long limbs, and a petite face, she could have been a model. You know, Emily looks like a model. If she's standing next to Ken, it's enough to make anyone feel insecure. That's what the girls would say. Which high school are you going to, Kenny? As entrance exam season approached, it naturally became the hot topic. Fortunately, I was on the smarter side, so I set my sights on the top local prep school that was also known for its stellar soccer team. Really, maybe I'll aim for that too. My mom wants me to become a doctor, she said. What? Then we might be together in high school too. Let's give it our all. On our days off, we studied at each other's homes. I'm so glad Kenzie is going to the same high school as Emily. Keep up the good work, Emily's mom would say as she brought over some fancy cake, and even my sister would join our study sessions with her own schoolwork. It was a pretty great relationship, I think. But a year into high school, my relationship with Emily changed dramatically. We both got into the schools we wanted and were thrilled, starting off commuting together, but gradually, Emily's behavior became strange, and by sophomore year, she didn't even speak to me. Lately, I feel like something's off with Emily, I remarked. Did you do something, bro? My sister asked. As we bickered back and forth, my mom chimed in. Emily has always been pretty, but she's become even more beautiful in high school. Maybe she's got a boyfriend. My sister added, true. She was so cute and yet didn't have a boyfriend in middle school because you were always around. At my sister's grade level, people would sometimes gossip about me and Emily, wondering if I was the reason she didn't have a boyfriend. Well, I guess it was mutual because I didn't have a girlfriend either. Sure, once we got to high school, club activities kept us busy, and since morning practices meant we hardly saw each other at the crack of dawn, it wouldn't have been strange if Emily had gotten herself a boyfriend without me knowing. Being one of the top brains in our grade, acing sports without breaking a sweat, and being a knockout to boot with a face and figure straight out of a magazine, it's no wonder students from other classes and schools would come just to catch a glimpse of Emily. Even our school festivals had more than a few folks, guys and girls, showing up just to see her. I took it for granted that Emily would always be there by my side, but suddenly she felt a bit distant, and I couldn't help feeling lonely. Even you, with your serious soccer game, got dumped by the girl who was your girlfriend. Huh? Shut up, man. She was just a childhood friend. We weren't dating. Teased by my friends, but I was pretty busy myself and, as always, had no trouble getting attention from the ladies, so I just made casual girlfriends to pass the time. By the time we were seniors in high school, just as summer vacation was about to start, my parents got into a car accident. Dad passed away and Mom, who was in the passenger seat, survived but became paralyzed from the waist down. With the sudden loss of Dad and contemplating the future, Mom sank into depression, and my sister lost her spark too. We received a fair amount of insurance money, but with Mom having been a stay-at-home mom and now facing the challenges of paralysis, getting a regular job seemed unlikely. The reality is harsh, given the need for rehabilitation and assistance. I'm not going to college, I'm going to work. When I told my family, they reacted, "Why on earth would you do that? After attending such a good high school, you're going straight to work." I'm sorry, it's because I ended up like this. Mom kept apologizing profusely, and my sister tried desperately to stop me. No, it's not Mom's fault. I found something I want to do. Even my guidance counselor at school tried hard to persuade me, but my mind was made up. Now that I had a clear goal, going to college seemed like a detour, and I wanted to use the insurance money to renovate the house to make it more comfortable for Mom and her condition. I also want to make sure my sister gets to go to college, and no matter what anyone says, the idea of going to college myself has completely vanished from my mind. Hey, what's the deal here? About a month after my dad's passing, there was Emily, standing in front of our house, looking really upset. What do you mean by what's the deal? Did I do something to you? Her recent attitude of ignoring me had irked me a bit, so I replied somewhat defensively. You're planning on getting a job instead of going to college. Whether she'd heard it from someone or my sister had asked her to persuade me, Emily was laying into me with fiery anger. That's ridiculous. Completely unthinkable. You're settling for just a high school diploma in a world where everything is judged by your education. You want to give up on life. You're going to regret it for sure. Feeling a bit sad that this was the first conversation with my childhood friend after such a long time, I let out a sigh. Emily suddenly looked down, taken aback. "I'm really sorry about your father, but there are scholarships, and if that's still not enough, I'll ask my dad to prepare some money. With your brains, you could go to a state college, so why won't you?" The look on Emily's face was terribly somber. "Listen, Emily, I made this decision on my own. There's something I want to do. What about you? First, you avoid me, and now you ambush me just to say this." I couldn't take it anymore and reached for the gate to our house. "I didn't mean, you're someone who deserves to be recognized. It can't end with just high school, but you need to bring results to be recognized." With a trembling voice, Emily whispered to my back. Her voice was filled with a desperate clinging sadness, and for a moment, I almost turned around, but I didn't look back and entered the house. "I'm home. Ken, are you okay?" My sister must have seen the exchange from her second-floor room. She asked me with a worried tone, "You all right?" "Yeah, I'm good. By the way, did you tell Emily that I'm getting a job?" I hadn't talked to Emily at all. We hadn't seen each other. At first, I thought you were getting a job for the family's sake and I was against it. But if you have something you want to do, I'll support you. She gave a sweet smile and said, "Dinner's on the table. Go ahead and eat." And then she went back upstairs. After that, I never really saw Emily except for passing by at school. Even then, we remained distant until we graduated high school, parting ways after the quarrels. It's been 10 years since the bittersweet high school days. Now, having made my dreams a reality amidst busy everyday life, I took Ethan, my junior, to my favorite sushi spot. I've been coming here as a treat for various milestones ever since a colleague introduced me to this place and I got hooked on the taste. "Hey, long time no see." I greeted Bob, the owner of the restaurant who I've known for 8 years, with a friendly smile. "Welcome, Ken." First off, a bottle of beer as a nod to the hard work. This was always the routine here. "Ken, this place has a great atmosphere, doesn't it?" "Right. It's my go-to spot. It's pretty upscale, and now it's so popular. Getting a reservation is tough. I save it for special occasions." As soon as I finished my beer with a single gulp, the appetizers were served. Ken's been a regular for a long time, and now his juniors and team members are following in his footsteps, coming here to celebrate their own milestones. He said with a grin as he started to prepare the sushi. "Well, this is seriously delicious. You really know the best places," Ethan praised after trying the appetizer. "Today's your treat for wrapping up the huge project, so savor it to the fullest." Watching Ethan gobble up the food with delight made me happy, and I too started on the appetizers. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the drive to eat this sushi is what motivates me to tackle big jobs. As we were thoroughly enjoying our meal, the door to the restaurant opened and I heard a familiar voice. "I know we're a bit early for our reservation. Is that going to be okay? He'll be here shortly as well." I couldn't help but turn around at that familiar voice. "No way, what are you doing here?" Unbelievable. She looked even more beautiful than I remembered, dazzlingly so. Emily, my childhood friend, with whom I had a falling out after a big fight. "It's nothing out of the ordinary, as you can see, just having dinner," I replied, feigning calmness. She looked from me to Ethan and then strode over to me. "You've become quite the show-off, haven't you?" Emily snorted with laughter. "I came here because he managed to get a reservation at this hard-to-book sushi place, but I see even a poor guy like you can afford it, which really says something, doesn't it?" Her remark set me off, and I retorted, "Look here, that's rude in front of Bob. I like this place and I frequent it regularly. What about you? Your boyfriend is coming, right? Go on, get going." As I dismissed Emily with an exasperated tone, she said, "Well, that's true. Unlike you, I didn't settle after a tragedy. I pursued my education and now I work for a big corporation. You know them, don't you? The largest agency for YouTubers. It's a big company that went public in just a few years, and he's the rising star there." Likely the next CEO. What about you? Well, since you are here, I guess you're not doing too badly for yourself, living in poverty. Emily stood there with a triumphant smile, and Ethan bristled with indignation. Excuse me, what's with the attitude? Thinking you're all high and mighty because your boyfriend is successful, and whether that's even true. I calmed him down, saying it was all good. But when she mentioned a company name I knew well, I couldn't keep quiet. I know it because I'm the one who started it. As I said this quietly, the door opened and in came a man I also recognized. Mr. Burton, what a coincidence. How are you doing? The man who entered bowed to me as soon as he noticed me, and Emily couldn't hide her surprised expression. He's Phil, one of my employees and my right-hand man. The man I'm most fond of. Emily, sorry to keep you waiting. Did you know Ken here? While he asked Emily gently, she seemed to be in a daze. Ever since Ken introduced me to this place, I've been completely hooked and come here often. Phil said with a fresh smile, and even I was taken aback. Indeed, Phil is our company's rising star. I found myself muttering under my breath. Ethan nodded in agreement behind me. Come on, Ken, quit being so modest. It's not me who's working hard, but the creators. The media's been making too much of a fuss about me, he said modestly, which made him all the more intriguing to me. Ever since I was a kid, I loved involving everyone in fun activities, so I always wanted to enter the entertainment industry. After losing my dad and seeing the grief of my mom and sister, the first thing I wanted to do was to entertain the world. After high school, I got a job at a local ad agency, but all the while, I studied the entertainment industry thoroughly and set my sights on YouTube. I tried broadcasting myself and realized it was quite challenging, and that's when I got the chance to meet others who were also posting on YouTube. There, we revealed our problems to each other, and then we decided to start a company. With the timing being just right, riding the wave of an era that welcomed YouTube, our company quickly found its groove. The one managing our star creators, even before we went public, is Phil. Sure, it's thanks to his adept management of the creators that the company has gotten this far, but would he really go out of his way to tell his girlfriend that he's the top dog or the next CEO? I mean, sure, there's a bit of a difference between how you act in front of your boss and your girl. As I'm mulling this over, sensing the mood between me and Emily, Phil asks, is something up? Oh, Emily over there and I grew up next door to each other. I thought we were good friends back in the day, but at some point, she seemed to take a strong dislike to me. She was just saying that this place isn't anything special because a high school grad and a poor guy like me came here. It looks like I brought down the reputation of your establishment, I told Bob. I glance over at Emily. No, that's not it. Emily shakes her head vigorously. Emily seems to be quite proud of you. She was happily telling everyone that you're going to be our next CEO. Phil shot Emily a cold look. I'm terribly sorry for my girlfriend's rudeness. I'll have a talk with her and report back to you later. My apologies to you too. Here's the cancellation fee for today. Phil bowed deeply to the main chef, paid the cancellation fee to a nearby employee promising to come back again, and with a quiet, icy voice, said let's go, and took Emily out of the restaurant. Emily could hardly walk. Tears were streaming down her face. I let out a big sigh. Really sorry about this, I ruined the mood. This was supposed to be a fun meal, and now it's all for nothing. No, Ken, it's not your fault. He started preparing the next dish with a smile. Ethan agreed with him, saying, that's right. But it's surprising. Phil dating a woman like that. Maybe he's good at his job but has no eye for women, I said nonchalantly, which made both me and the boss burst into laughter. No, she used to be a real sweetheart back in the day. I guess she changed after high school. I drank my lukewarm beer, reminiscing. That's not something you should say, Bob said with a laugh. With a puzzled look, Ethan said, sorry about that, while scratching his head and ordered a hard seltzer. The next day, although Phil was supposed to be on a business trip starting today, he showed up at the office early in the morning and said, "I'm really sorry about last night. I talked it over with my girlfriend, and we've decided to break up. Can I give you a detailed report when I'm back soon?" After his brief report, he headed off to Kansas. So, they broke up, huh? I felt a bit guilty but saw Phil off and went back to the usual grind. 2 days later, I met up with Phil at a cafe near the office after his trip. "Sorry to keep you waiting." Rushing into the cafe where I was waiting, Phil looked noticeably brighter. "Phil, you look beat. You didn't have to rush." "No, I wanted to talk to you as soon as possible. Listen to this. You thought Emily disliked you, right? Turns out, she was just jealous of your awesomeness. She went to a competitive high school to join the soccer team, and even while she was dedicated to her club activities, she couldn't match up to you, always topping the grades. Apparently, she got an earful about it at home too. Well, she does have a bit of a habit of exaggerating stories, so I'm not sure how serious she was." I was speechless at this unexpected revelation. Jealousy, and I couldn't help but chuckle. Sure, Emily's parents are both pretty sharp and the home environment is strict, but jealousy over that. While laughing, I remembered the day we had that big fight. In a world where everything is judged by academic background, you get no recognition without results. I mused over Emily's words from that time. Actually, she might not be completely wrong. Emily's mom had always dreamed of her becoming a doctor, and given that it was a prep school, they had plenty of mock exams. Maybe Emily was feeling cornered, too, having the reality of her chances at specific dream schools confronted by those mock exams. And get this, the worst part. She told me she was only with me because I'm the rising star of the company featured in magazines. She never saw past my resume and title. I really loved her, you know, and the whole future company president thing was all Emily's doing, assuming it was a given because I'm the frontrunner. As Phil shared this, he looked a bit forlorn. He definitely lacks a knack for judging character. I recalled the face of Ethan at the sushi restaurant. Oh, and she also said, "It's not fair. You're beloved and popular. Your parents don't force their ideals on you, really. Who are you?" I just smiled wryly as Phil took a sip of his coffee. "I'm nothing special, just thankful to my folks, I guess. The company is what it is today thanks to you and the other creators, after all." That was indeed true. I had just been doing what I could at the time. "Oh, you used to date Emily back in the day. Seems like she's still head over heels for you. She said she can't forget him." Phil looked at me with a sly grin as he spoke. I responded, "We didn't date, but yeah, I guess I liked her too until we had that big fallout. 3 years have passed since then, and I was out on a date with my wife. We get married after dating for about 2 years, and now there's a new life blossoming in her belly. We came shopping today for a little change of scenery before the baby comes. Hey Molly, this place is known for its variety of decaf herbal teas. I saw it on Instagram. Let's take a break." Despite her growing belly making it tough to walk, my wife had been on her feet a lot today, so to give her a break, we stopped by a cafe. "What'll you have?" "I'll grab it, you sit down." I picked up drinks for both of us and headed back to my wife, only to unexpectedly spot Emily sitting nearby. Oh, it seemed Emily had also noticed me. We both greeted each other at the same time. "It's been a while." "You too." Emily, smiling softly, seemed to have reverted back to her old middle school aura. That was the real Emily, a gentle girl with a soft demeanor. Sitting across from her was a man with a gentle aura, seemingly laid back. "I'm getting married to this guy next week. I regret what happened back then. That's why I want to cherish someone who really faces me for who I am." Emily was looking straight at me. "Kenny, you haven't changed at all. That's your wife, right? You both seem really happy. I wonder if I can make someone as happy as Kenny. Look in front of you. At least the guy you're with right now seems happy to be with you, doesn't he? That's what counts. You've got your own family to think about now." Emily's boyfriend nodded in agreement. Well, I gotta get back to my wife. Wish you all the happiness. Nodding briefly to her boyfriend, Emily grabbed my hand as I was returning to my wife. She pulled me closer and whispered in my ear secretly. Keep it a secret, but I've always had a crush on you, Kenny. Emily, with a mischievous smile, made my heart skip a beat, but I didn't say anything. In my heart, I responded, I liked you too. Getting back to my wife, she grinned and asked, she's pretty, isn't she? That's my first love. Got dumped by her a long time ago, though. My wife smiled broadly, and I handed her the drink I had bought earlier. I got a little jealous. Don't look at other women, okay? She playfully pinched my cheek and pouted, looking so endearing. When I was little, my dad passed away, and my mom didn't make much money, so we were pretty poor. Because of that, we hardly ever had any treats in the house. As a growing-up child, not being able to have snacks was like living in hell. One day, without thinking, I found myself trying to put a deli bun in my pocket at the grocery store. What are you doing? A girl nearby caught my attention, snapping me out of it. She looked to be about my age, a real cutie. Startled, I put the deli bun back on the shelf. Sorry, I'm just really hungry, but you know you can't just put the bun in your pocket. I knew exactly what she meant. Thinking back on what I was about to do, I felt so embarrassed. I won't do it again. It's wrong, but you're hungry, right? Yeah. I looked down, feeling downcast. Well, why don't you come over to my place and have some snacks? What? Her offer surprised me. No one's home until late at night. You see, I was supposed to have a party today. I even bought some sweets, so let's eat together. Are you sure? Yeah. I can't eat it all by myself. I followed her to her house. And she served me a huge birthday cake. What's with the big cake? It was supposed to be for eating with my mom and dad today, but they're both so busy with work, they told me they couldn't make it back. Seeing her sad face made me feel sad too. Hey, I've got an idea. I started to decorate the cake with the candles that came in the box. Hey, do you have a lighter or some matches? What? It's a birthday party. Let's celebrate now, just the two of us. That sounds great. Her eyes lit up, and she smiled happily. And so, I sat there with the girl whose name I never learned, eating the big whole cake. The cake with strawberries on top was so sweet and delicious. This cake is amazing. Maybe it tasted so good because I was eating it while looking at her adorable smile. Needless to say, I couldn't eat dinner when I got home. I got an earful from my mom, but I still can't forget that girl's smile and the taste of that cake. I've regretted not asking her name before we parted ways ever since. I wanted to see her again so much that I tried to find her house, but I just got lost and never found it. That just made her all the more memorable. Looking back, that was my first crush. Hey, man, you need to start facing reality. My coworker's words made me swallow my cake in surprise. Here I am, at a little cake shop on the outskirts of town. This is a place I like coming to. Do you really think a guy in his 30s who likes cakes like this will be popular, Tom? You gotta man up or you'll never get married. Plus, with all the sweets, you're just going to keep gaining weight. What even is manliness? And saying I'm just going to keep getting fatter, that's harsh. Isn't it the truth, though? My coworker, Keith, sips his coffee while dropping some hard truths. Sure, I'm over 30 and a mature guy now, but what's wrong with enjoying my hobby of eating cake? I wonder how it looks to modern girls when a guy eats cake. I really think that, at the end of the day, it's all about how much a man earns. And a man, you should aim for a ripped body by working out. Yeah, maybe. I grumble internally about his unsolicited advice. Cake holds very precious memories for me. So, I don't care if it's not manly or if I gain weight. Anyway, The only way to break through this reality is matchmaking dates. Huh? What are you talking about, man? Matchmaking dates, that's what. I know a matchmaker who's great at this stuff. Let's get her to introduce you to some nice girls. Keith suggests matchmaking dates, but what does that have to do with manliness? Even someone unmanly like you might have a shot with a matchmaking date. Plus, it'll be a good chance for you to reevaluate yourself. What's that supposed to mean? Come on, do it as a favor for me, just once. That matchmaker has been bugging me to find someone, and it's a hassle. So, he just wants to use me as an excuse to get out of it. Despite my resistance, I say, fine, but just this once, and agree to the matchmaking date. I owe Keith for all the help he's given me over the years. It wouldn't hurt to pay him back this way. Great, thanks for agreeing. They really wanted to meet you too. It seems like it's not a formal matchmaking date, so just think of it as a casual introduction. All right. Keith is cunning to offer me up just to save his own face. But then again, it's that side of him that's often been a help. So, is it okay if I give your contact info to the matchmaker? Sure, why not? Thanks, man. That's how our conversation went before Keith and I parted ways. After that, we headed off in different directions to make our sales rounds. Once the work settled down, I found myself visiting another cake shop. I just can't quit. As I enjoyed a strawberry shortcake, I fought back to the matchmaking date conversation. Sure enough, when I go back home, my mom always starts with, "When are you going to get married? I'm worried if you don't settle down soon." But there's no talk of marriage when there's no one I'm dating. And my hobby of sampling different cakes has indeed led me to gain weight over the past few years. Lately, I've even started baking sweets myself. A guy with such a feminine hobby isn't likely to find a partner. To be honest, I do want to get married and have a family and kids someday. But it's hard to imagine a woman who'd want to date a guy like me. Well, it's all right. I'll go to the matchmaking date because it's a request from him. It's his request. I'll go just for the heck of it. That's what I'm thinking. After a while, the matchmaker sends over a photo and biography of my prospective partner. To my surprise, she graduated from a pastry school and is currently a pastry chef. The woman in the photo isn't exactly beautiful, but she looks strong, kind, and serene. Seeing her profession, I get excited, thinking we could share our interest in cakes and sweets. That's how I look forward to the day of the meeting. Near the store, a woman supposed to be Lucy, the matchmaker my colleague had introduced to me, greeted me at the entrance of the restaurant. "Hello, nice to meet you. My date, Emily, had a sturdy build but a reserved smile that was incredibly sweet." After we exchanged introductions, I struggled to find topics to talk about, finally managing to ask, "So, why did you want to become a pastry chef?" That was all I could come up with. She replied in a low voice, "Because I love cakes." She seemed nervous, not making eye contact and constantly looking down. Maybe she's just shy. I tried actively to talk about hobbies and favorite foods, but the conversation just wouldn't take off. She kept looking down, answering tersely. Maybe she wasn't into it. Honestly, I felt the same. I had hoped we'd bond over our love of cakes, but perhaps she didn't see me as her type. That makes sense. I'm well aware of how much weight I've put on. I guess she's going to turn me down. I knew this, but still came here anyway. Well, it's okay. The next day, I was lazing around at home on my day off when my cell phone rang. It was from Lucy, the matchmaker. "Thank you for yesterday. So, Emily wants to meet with you again. Tom, can you find the time?" But she seemed disinterested. Lucy counted. She's the one asking for a second meeting, so maybe that's not the case. All right, I understand. Though skeptical, I agreed to meet Emily again. Oh man, I hope we don't run out of things to talk about again. The day was perfect for a park meetup, sunny from the morning. At the appointed time, I went to the clock tower where we agreed to meet, and she was already there waiting. Just the two of us today, no Lucy. Can we actually talk this time? I felt an odd tension, my heart pounding since morning. As we sat on a bench with a view of the sea, she suddenly began to speak. I'm sorry about the other day. I was so nervous, I couldn't talk properly. I wanted to apologize for that today, she said with an apologetic look. Also, for not properly answering why I became a pastry chef. You see, it's actually because the boy I had a crush on wanted to eat delicious cakes. She smiled brightly as she replied. At her words, my heart nearly stopped. She continued. My parents both worked and often came home late. On my birthday when I was little, they couldn't make it back because of work, and I ended up sharing a birthday cake with a boy I met at a grocery store. He told me then, the cake tastes better when I ate it with you. It was 20 years ago. Do you remember? It's been so long, you probably forgot. That was me, I managed to say with a choked voice. Yes, I know. She smiled warmly. It took me a moment to understand what she was saying. Actually, I know Keith. He often told me about you, Tom, about your love for cakes, that the first whole cake you ever ate was a birthday cake for a girl you didn't know. When I heard your name, I realized you were that boy. I remembered your name from the name tag. On that day, she recognized my elementary school and name from my name tag, and had been thinking of coming to see me later, but it turned out she had to move away suddenly. Later on, she got to know me through a friend, Keith, and had been asking about me. So, this matchmaking meeting. Yes, I asked Keith and the matchmaker to set it up, insisting a bit, because I just had to see you again. I was lonely on my own, and thank you for having cake with me. I should be the one thanking you for speaking to me that day. Her words nearly brought tears to my eyes. I should be the one grateful for having reached out to me. Yet, she thanked me. She said I was her first love. It made me so happy to know she had been thinking of me all this time. I brought a cake that I made today. Would you like to share it with me? Of course, I'd eat as many as you bring, even hundreds. I was too overjoyed to keep speaking. She seemed to feel the same. Then she took out a box of cake and placed it before me. It was the strawberry cake we had eaten together. A strawberry cake that's not a whole cake looks delicious too, doesn't it? Back then, we ended up with our mouths all covered in cream while eating it. Exactly. We started fighting over who stole more strawberries. But then you gave me the strawberry you were going to eat. We laughed together, reminiscing about the past as we shared the cake. And she promised to bake a cake for the next time we met, and then we parted ways for the day. From that day on, my life changed. Every holiday, the person I like makes her favorite cake for me. And eating it together makes the sweet happiness double. My colleague, Keith, has become a total sweets buddy, and he jokes about how the notches on his belt have shifted. For us sweets lovers, she is now developing a low-calorie cake. Our dream is to one day open a cafe selling the cake she has created. I wasn't keen on the matchmaking date at first, but I'm thankful to Keith for such an unexpected encounter. To meet the woman I've longed for again, and have the person I love make her favorite cakes for me. I'm truly a lucky guy.